It's Miv, and I am making blood orange syrup, like Danielle just said. It's very easy to make your own soda syrup. So I did do a little bit of experimentation just to make sure I knew what I was talking about. So there are different ways you can make soda syrup. The syrup part, I tend to do 1 part sugar or honey to 1 part water, which is a 1-to-1 ratio. Sometimes if you are looking on the internet, some people like to do more sugar than that, but I don't think that's not what I like. I don't like it super sweet. So anyway, I tried one with honey, and what I did was I just cut the blood oranges in half, squeezed them into the pan with 1 part honey, 1 part water, and then I brought it up to a boil, turned it off, let it steep until it was cool. I did the same thing with sugar, where I did 1 part sugar, 1 part water. I put 3 oranges in there, just the whole oranges. And then same thing. I brought it up to a good boil, turned it off, let it sit. And then the third one I tried was, instead of using the whole oranges, I zested the oranges and I juiced them. I did 1 part honey to 1 part water. It was 1 cup of each. And then I used 3 oranges. And to that one, I also added 1 lemon, which I also zested and juiced. And of the 3, that was my favorite one. And I think that the lemon really adds a nice tartness, which kind of balances out the syrup. So that's what I'm going to do today. So I already zested this orange. I wanted to show you how beautiful it is before I juice this last one. The other 2.5 and the lemon are already in here. So it's a really beautiful color mixture of zest. And then I'm using one of these. You can also use one of these, or depending on the size of the oranges, or they make these for oranges, but where they're a little bit bigger. And handily, they are orange in color, so you could easily figure out which juicer is good for oranges. So I am straining out the pulp and the seeds. And I will explain why I'm doing that in a moment. You don't have to do that at the beginning. You could strain it all at the end. And in fact, I will be straining out the zest after cooking it. Put that aside. But what I did when I was making a little tester, I don't know if you'll be able to see this. When I strained the zest out, I put it back into a pot with just the syrup to cover, and then another spoonful of sugar, and I cooked it down. It got really thick. I cooked this down for 10 minutes, and this now is something I could put on ice cream if I wanted, or I could also strain it. I would maybe heat it up a little bit more and then strain it, and I could dehydrate it and then kind of roll it in sugar to have like a candy zest kind of thing. But that's a really easy way to use up the peels. So this is the juice of the 3 oranges and 1 lemon. It's slightly more than half a cup. When I made the test version, I actually ended up with more, like almost 3/4 of a cup, and that's fine. It doesn't have to be a specific amount. And also I encourage you to play around with it. So if you like it more orangey, add more orange, or use less, lower amount of the sugar and water. And then this is already measured out. I have 1 cup of sugar. It is white sugar. because I do a lot of baking and I just use regular sugar primarily. But like I said, honey is good. You could also use a raw sugar if you wanted. And then 1 cup of water. And then, so I'm going to put this on the stove. I'm not going to do it right now because the magic of television. But what I would do is put it on probably medium high, not all the way to high. I would stir it until the sugar dissolved, and then I would bring it up to a good rolling boil, where you can't stir the boil down anymore. And then I would turn it off, cover it, let it cool, and then strain it once it's cool. So, since I've already done that, I'm going to show you what you can do with the syrup. So I have kind of a pretty glass that someone gave to me a while back. I set 1 blood orange aside for garnishing. So what I'm going to do is just take this edge of the orange and kind of messily wipe it on the rim. And then we have this orange sugar that Laura made a video about making orange sugar that you can find on our website. And I'm just going to dip that in. So it's a pretty orange sugar rimmed glass. Always label what you make. And then this is really to taste and is based on personal preference how much syrup you use. I don't like my drinks really sweet, so I'm just gonna start out with just a little splash. And then this is soda water that I was a soda stream at home, so I did this before coming here. What I do is I just keep these bottles in my fridge, cold water, and then when I'm ready to have some bubble water, the water's already cold, and all I have to do is put it in the soda stream. And then I'm going to take my slice of orange. I'm going to make 1 cut from the edge to the center, and then I'm going to put it on the rim. And then I also have a couple other garnishes. So I have rosemary, because rosemary and orange, and especially blood orange, really go well together. I also have a little sprig of rose geranium. And I also think that a sprig of mint would be really good. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use the rosemary. And I'm just going to kind of put a little sprig in there, and then it's ready to go. Really good. So it's super easy. Hope you try making your own soda syrup. You can use other fruit if you want. And it's nice because you kind of have to make it ahead of time. So that's it. So now Danielle is going to show us some really nice facial masks, so you can get all spruced up for Valentine's Day.
Love it. That drink is beautiful. It's almost too pretty to drink, but we will drink it. I guarantee that. All right, so I hope that you were able to check out the video that I made on orange peels. It was just a video talking about the benefits of saving your orange peels. And so you can see here that I have a lot of dried orange peels. I used this little coffee grinder that I only use for grinding spices, and I use that to grind up the orange peels. And then I used a fine mesh sieve and I sifted. So we're going to be making masks for our face with this orange peel. And so I don't want any of this grittier orange peel in the mask. So I just use this to get those bigger bits out, and then I'll use this very fine orange peel powder to make these masks. So orange peel is high in vitamin C, it's high in vitamin B, it has pectin, and it's very useful for the skin. It's anti-inflammatory, it's brightens and hydrates the skin, and it increases collagen production. So it's a really great ingredient to add into a face mask. And if we had smell-o-vision, I keep talking about, I wish we had smell-o-vision because my whole entire kitchen smells so amazing from all of these orange preparations right now. So for this first mask, we're going to make a deep cleansing mask for oily skin. So we're using a tablespoon of the powdered orange peel. I have a tablespoon of Fuller's Earth clay. You could use bentonite clay or any other kind of cosmetic clay that you have on hand. Fuller's Earth is just really great for oily skin in particular. It's more drawing than other kinds of clay. And you add that, and then we have some rose water that we're going to use to hydrate, and you just add a little bit of liquid to start and mix your ingredients together and just keep mixing until you have a paste-like consistency. And you would apply this mask all over your face, and the clay will start to firm and tighten on your skin, and you'll start to feel it working. And you will rinse it when it's semi-dry. Because we've added the orange peels, the mask, the clay won't dry all the way on your skin. So I'm going to show you. It's about like a toothpaste like consistency that you want to get to. And I think you can see that a little bit in the video, hopefully. And this is really great for treating acne. It's great for lightening the skin. Fuller's Earth also, as well as the orange peel together, can work together to lighten hyperpigmentation on your skin. So that's mask number one. So this one, you let it sit for 20-25 minutes until it starts to dry on your skin, and then rinse it and then moisturize. And you can moisturize with something as simple as a little bit of coconut oil. You don't need to have any kind of fancy moisturizers. Here's another mask that I want to show you how to make, and it's I need another bowl. This is with using yogurt. It's another mask using orange peels, of course, as your base. And yogurt is great for the skin because it has probiotics, and it also has protein and lactic acid. It's also going to brighten your skin, and it's going to nourish the skin as well. So you want to use like a thicker yogurt, like a Greek, and we want plain sugar, no added sugar yogurt. Okay, does that go without saying? I think it goes without saying, but maybe not. So we're going to get 2 tablespoons of yogurt to 1 tablespoon of orange peel, and we're going to mix it together, and again have this really beautiful smelling paste. So that's the other thing about using ingredients like this, is the aromatherapy aspect of it. You're going to take this and put it right on your face, right by your nose, and the smell of the orange peels is so brightening. This is not coming together so well, so I'm going to add a little bit more yogurt. I would maybe not add more orange peel though. So orange peel mask, something to think about too, is orange peel can make you photosensitive, And so maybe up to 12 hours after using a treatment like this, you would want to go outside with maybe a wide brimmed hat if you had to go out, or put some sunblock on to protect your skin. And it's also, it can be a little bit strong. So even if I'm saying keep it on for 20 minutes, that's conditional. If you start to feel it's burning or your skin is starting to itch, then that means that maybe you're having a dermatitis type reaction to the orange peel, and this would not be the particular treatment for you. So maybe even a little bit more yogurt to this, but then this gets spread on, you leave it on, it won't dry because it's yogurt, and then you'll rinse it off and moisturize as well. And then the final mask is using honey. And I love using honey on my face. It's antibacterial and it's humectant. So that means it's naturally drawing moisture to the skin. And it's also lightening. So when honey and water meet, then it makes like a hydrogen peroxide type substance, and it helps with hyperpigmentation over time. So this mask, you add a tablespoon of orange peel. I already have a tablespoon of honey measured out in my jar, and then just a pinch of turmeric. Turmeric is also antibacterial. Maybe a little more than that. There we go. And it's anti-inflammatory, and it's antioxidant. So all of these things we know are good for our skin. So it's going to take a little bit to get that powder mixed into that honey, but again, another beautiful mask that not only is your skin going to be brighter and smoother, but also your mental health will be improved. Look at that. Can you see that color? It's just incredibly beautiful. Thank you so much for listening to let me talk about the skin. And Laura's up next with the sweeties. Grab this stuff out of the way. And if you have any questions about anything, please put them in the chat, and we will be monitoring those and answering them as they come in. Okay. So, date balls are a really fun way to have a sweet treat that is not full of a lot of refined sugars. Often you'll see these sorts of recipes called like energy bites. And this recipe is really similar to that, but there's a couple of things that I adjusted in it that I felt like made it feel more like a truffle. Or like a little special chocolate treat. And so I'm gonna go ahead and start putting things into my food processor. The food processor is pretty important to make these. You might be able to do it in a blender. I don't know. You could probably do it with an immersion blender. It might take a lot of time, but food processor is awesome if you've got that. So I've got a cup and a half of dates here. Any kind of dates is fine. If your dates are really dry, pour some boiling water over them and let them sit for 15 minutes or so, just to kind of rehydrate a little bit if they've been sitting for a long time. And then in most energy bite recipes, the next ingredient would be nuts. I have found that if I start with a nut butter instead, the final texture of the bite is much smoother, so it feels more like that chocolate truffle. So I've got almond butter here. And I'm just going to scoop in there. And of course we need some chocolate. So for that we're just going to do cocoa powder.
in there. And then we want to maybe flavor it. So you could just do it like this with the vanilla and the coconut oil, which we'll talk about in a second. You don't need to add another dried fruit if you don't want to, but I like to just because it kind of adds some interest to it. These are dried cherries. You could do orange peels if you wanted to as well. You could do dried strawberries or raspberries or any kind of dried fruit that you would like. I chose cherries today because I had them and because I thought they would be really good with almond butter, because cherries and almonds are an awesome flavor combo. The vanilla is something I like to add because vanilla is a flavor that makes our brains think something is more sweet than it actually is. So it's kind of a fun thing to add to something that you're reducing the added sugar in, because then you think, oh, I'm having a very sweet treat, but you're actually not. So we're gonna do about a teaspoon. And then the coconut oil is optional. I like it because it adds that like rich, creamy, like fatty texture to it that your mouth kind of wants when you're eating a chocolate truffle. That's not gonna work. Spoon, about a tablespoon of coconut oil is really all you need. It doesn't need to be much. Okay, and we're just gonna grind into it first. Hopefully this is not too loud. So it's starting to kind of come together. It's still a little clumpy, and there's chunks still. It takes quite a while to really grind it up, but it smells so chocolatey right now. The dates just have that really sticky sweetness that's just so good. So we're gonna turn it back on. Continues to grind up, it's going to get kind of smoother. The sound of it will change. It'll stop kind of bouncing around quite as much, and it'll just sort of spin a little bit more. We could probably take this a little bit further if we really wanted to get it like super creamy, but I'm okay with stopping here. I think that a little bit of texture is not a problem for me, especially those cherries are not really gonna completely get ground up without a lot of grinding. So I could keep going. I'm not going to. But really all you're going to do is you're just going to take a little spoonful. Your choice how much. I like kind of maybe 2 teaspoons-ish worth. Maybe that's a tablespoon. Just sort of shape it into a ball. Roll it between your hands. And you can just serve it like this. You can put them on a tray in the refrigerator and let them sit till they get a little firmer. Or you can roll the outside in something like you would with a truffle. So I have some cocoa powder, which Danielle is going to pass to me. And just like if you were making a chocolate truffle with ganache, you drop it in there, just kind of roll it around. And now it's just like a truffle. And you could do this with cocoa powder. You could roll it in chopped nuts. You could roll it in coconut oil. You could roll it in orange sugar. And actually, if you wanted to add orange, that powdered peel that Danielle did with the mask, that's a great way to do it, because that way you're not trying to break these big pieces up in here. When you have little pieces that are kind of hard in a food processor, because it tends to sort of spin and spin, it wants to push the things that's having trouble mixing to the corners. And so something like the orange peel or like a dried spice like a cinnamon stick, you're not going to want to do it in something like this. You're going to want to grind it ahead of time and then add it in. So that's how you make these little truffles. And yeah, it will soak in the cocoa powder because it is pretty wet. So, you know, if you're going to let it sit, maybe another option, not the cocoa powder, is best. But you've got truffles. So, so if you would like to, you know, this is a great way to kind of treat somebody or yourself. You know, make a mask while you're enjoying your mask. Nibble on your little truffles. Have a sip of your sparkling soda. Add your syrup to some sparkling wine to make it a little bit more festive, if you'd like, if that's something that you like to do. And celebrate yourself and everyone else this Valentine's Day. Gather up, ladies. Thanks for coming. Happy Valentine's Day.